Dakota News Now begins with a breaking news alert.
One person is dead after police shot a man during a traffic stop in Minnesota earlier today. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jenna LeMair. We are starting things off tonight following that officer-involved shooting outside of Minneapolis. The University of South Dakota is planning for an in-person graduation ceremony this spring. USD President Sheila Gestring says those plans include holding it in the Dakota Dome. Many of us woke up to a mess of snow this morning, creating difficult road conditions. In Sioux Falls, more than 100 crew members have been working to get it all cleared. Professional bull riders have come to Sioux Falls for the weekend for the first Premier Bank Invitational. The event is happening throughout the weekend at the Denny Stanford Premier Center, where we can find Kevin Gonzalez, who joins us now with more. Kevin. Half of South Dakota's population, age 16 and over, has now received at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. Health officials opened vaccine eligibility to anyone over the age of 16 on Monday. The number of coronavirus cases reported in schools across South Dakota decreased last week. The state says 211 new cases were reported. Delta is blaming several contributing factors for canceling about 100 flights today. The Atlanta-based airline says staffing issues related to employee vaccinations and pilots returning to active status are part of the reason. Pizza Hut is going back to the classics with a modern twist. The pizza chain has launched new limited edition boxes. Medical Minute reporter Beth Warden introduces us to Avera doctors who have had both doses. They share what their side effects were and what they hope for the future. Many people are excited for things to eventually return to normal. Those who work for Denny Stanford Premier Center are trying to do their part in bringing some normalcy back to the people of Sioux Falls. It was a drastic drive from driving back in to going home and then waking up, seeing our whole screen door kind of covered. The U.S. reported at least 75,000 new COVID-19 daily cases 4 times this week. This comes as the nation is facing another potential surge. Austin, I think it is true Midwestern fashion to end a week of warm weather in February with some snow. It can't be a full week. It's got to end with that snow, right? Yeah, hi there, Brian. I am standing right outside of JCPenney's here at the Empire Mall. And right now there's still a group. There was a bigger group, I'd say about 30 to 40 people right over there, but they have released tear gas. It looks like there's a lot of bangs. It's dispersed some of them already, but not all of them. You can hear them chanting, "Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot." There's lots of cars surrounding the parking lot right now. People on motorcycles, lots of engines revving. Pretty much this whole parking lot, starting from JCPenney's all the way over through this TJ Maxx area and then back to my left as well. You can hear them chanting still. You can see right to the left of me that door is completely shattered. This right here is completely shattered. You can even see right here, there's still rocks on the ground from these literal holes right here. And these stores in this same mall hit too. I did speak to one business owner, and she said she actually got a call after a biker had come through here after he had noticed a group of people that were throwing rocks through these windows. She confirmed that they had been stolen from, including the Riddles that is also down here. A lot of people have been taking way more Zoom calls over the last year. And if you're like me, chances are you realized your plain office background needed a major upgrade. Here's where the little things add up. Nearly 40% was used for other uses. This includes dishwashers, stoves, computers, even washers and dryers, so you might want to consider putting off laundry day for a little bit. So I thought I'd follow along to his video to test it out.
Fold it to the middle, and you have yourself cloth face covering.
Naturally, many people are itching to get out and travel, but even if you're fully vaccinated, there are a number of things you should know before you take that vacation. I'm here in T, and this land has been proposed to be the new location to build a Lincoln County jail. But there's an organized group that's working to sway voters to vote no against this bond. Right here in Falls Park, there could be a brand new ice ribbon and playground in just a few years. Here in Lake Ponset, where an overnight fire has completely taken out a portion of this RV site. I'm here at Terror 29 in Sioux Falls, and and they've made a number of changes to their haunted house experience due to COVID-19 circumstances. That way, you can still get spooked, but be safe about it. While COVID-19 is still fairly new to the general public, there's a group of researchers and scientists right here in Sioux Falls that have been working on a treatment for quite some time. And there's a group of people out here today, and at first, you might think they're here to ice fish, but they're actually doing something much more unique. It's called ice hole diving. That's right, Callan Myers had a tough bout against COVID-19. A full month after getting COVID, he became sick with multi-system inflammatory syndrome, which can be brought on by the virus in children. But to get this diagnosis would be an uphill battle on its own. COVID ran through the Meyer family in mid-December, but it wasn't until a full month later when 9-year-old Callan became extremely sick.
Callan has celiac disease, and we were up there doing a checkup, and Callan fainted in the middle of the Mayo Clinic.
Callan was rushed to the ER.
We started to notice that his lymph node on his left side just started to protrude out of his neck, and he had a round rash that covered the top of it.
After several tests, he was released and they went back home to Sioux Falls. But things progressively got worse.
I never felt good. Most of my body parts hurt.
Callan was brought in for 3 more emergency visits that week. Each time, the test showed nothing wrong and they were sent home.
While we were there, he spiked a temperature of 104.7. You know, your mama bear intuition kind of starts kicking in.
By Sunday, Callan had been running a fever for 6 straight days, and his rash had spread throughout his whole body.
I made a phone call to the on-call pediatrician who right away said to us, "Have you guys had COVID?" And I was like, "Yes, and I think he has MISC." And she said, "I do too."
Making this their 5th and final emergency visit early Sunday morning, the Myers would finally get answers.
He had a rare syndrome called MISC, and that it was attacking his insides. I am so thankful that God put the team I'm so thankful for the team that God placed there at that time, because given another 12 hours, I don't know if we would have had Callan here.
Like so many, this virus took a toll on the entire family.
I thought Callan wasn't able to make it.
He was scared that he wasn't going to see his brother again.
Now, Callan is back to exploring the outdoors, adventure backpack in hand, and his big brother by his side. Jana said she is grateful to have a diagnosis, and she urges any other parents out there who are still struggling to keep fighting for their answers. She also said since both boys have had a tough time, they definitely have a Florida vacation coming sometime in their future. Kelsey?
All right, Jenna, thank you very much. Callan was given a 12-hour IV treatment.
With the stretch of cold weather in South Dakota, residents naturally have upped their energy consumption. But this has led to a rolling power outage.
Do you think that we, just regular people, use a lot more energy than we think?
That's absolutely the case. And it points out why it's important for us to be cognizant of what we have that consumes electricity and how we use those items.
In order to know how to reduce energy usage, we need to know what we're using that's taking up the most energy. The most recent report by U.S. Energy Information Administration breaks down the average consumption of energy in homes in 2019. Here's where the little things add up. Nearly 40% was used for other uses. This includes dishwashers, stoves, computers, even washers and dryers, so you might want to consider putting off laundry day for a little bit.
Waiting to wash your laundry, run the dryer, run the dishwasher. Any of those kinds of things that you can simply put off for a couple of days without completely disrupting your life, that's going to be really helpful to us.
Another major source of energy? Roughly 1/3 was for heating and cooling homes. So in this case, maybe consider turning down the heat a few notches. Electricity for lighting and televisions amounted to about 9%. So unplugging items such as TVs, phone chargers, and lamps?
All the way down to simply light bulbs. The fact that, if we can shut off the lights when we're not using them, even simple things like that can reduce our electric consumption.
While it may be a small action to switch off a light or unplug a space heater, it is a noticeable improvement when everyone's making these efforts.
The grid operator told us late this morning, after the emergency had kind of passed, that they could see people actually reducing their consumption during that time, as we'd all been asking folks to do, and it allowed them to get past that emergency time period faster than they would have been otherwise.
Dakota News Now begins with a breaking news alert.
One person is dead after police shot a man during a traffic stop in Minnesota earlier today. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jenna LeMair. We are starting things off tonight following that officer-involved shooting outside of Minneapolis. According to a news release, officers determined the driver had an outstanding warrant. As officers were attempting to take the person into custody, the driver re-entered the vehicle and one officer discharged their firearm, striking the driver. The vehicle then traveled several blocks and struck another car. The driver died at the scene and a female passenger sustained non-life-threatening injuries. There is now a large police presence at the scene and crowds can be seen gathering. According to EMS audio, a police officer was also transported to the hospital after sustaining injuries. This is a developing story and an investigation is ongoing. We are going to turn to Austin now for a look outside and a chilly start to the week. We might actually need kind of a light jacket throughout the whole week.
Yeah, it's looking like we're going to actually see those cooler than average conditions at least return for the time being. But the good news is,
as more and more people are becoming vaccinated for COVID-19, many people are excited for things to eventually return to normal. Those who work for Denny Sanford Premier Center are trying to do their part in bringing some normalcy back to the people of Sioux Falls. Kevin Gonzalez joins us now with more. Good evening, Kevin. Half of South Dakota's population aged 16 and over has now received at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. Health officials opened vaccine eligibility to anyone over the age of 16 on Monday. Nearly 300,000 in total have received at least a single dose of the vaccine, and about 70% of those people have completed their vaccinations. However, Secretary of Health Kim Malzahn-Risden warns that there has been a 75% jump in COVID-19 infections among people in their 20s over the last 6 weeks. New data shows that adverse reactions to the COVID vaccine are extremely rare. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is tracking adverse reactions to the vaccine. It says as of April 2nd, fewer than 1 in 28,000 people who receive a COVID-19 vaccine have had a serious reaction. That's less than 0.004%. That includes hospitalizations, life-threatening reactions, or death, as well as any vaccine administration errors. The report included data on all 3 of the COVID-19 vaccines. A man is still recovering after he was assaulted last week while working his shift at the South Dakota State Penitentiary. Cordell Wright spoke with the family members of the victim and has more details for us tonight. Congress is returning to Washington following its Easter break, and lawmakers have a full agenda. Among the top priorities on the to-do list, President Biden's infrastructure bill and gun control legislation. A bipartisan group of lawmakers will meet with the president on Monday to discuss the administration's infrastructure plan, which focuses on various areas from road construction to child care and fiber lines for broadband internet. Many Republicans have concerns about the package's $2 trillion price tag. All right, Austin, thank you all for joining us. Be sure to join Vanessa Thorne-Aaron for Dakota News Now tomorrow morning starting at 5. Have a good night.